The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I want to tell you a very, very powerful story. I heard on Monday, yesterday, Rav Guata, who is one of the speakers on Hidabrut, say a story about the Baba Sali. He said this story about 8 months ago, and I heard it yesterday. The story happened many, many years ago. There was a Chiloni man, a non-religious man, who lived in Tel Aviv with his wife and daughter. One day this man didn't feel very well. He went to his doctor. The doctor said, "I don't see anything wrong. So go back home." He went back home. And soon after, he went back to the doctor, said, "The pains are not going away. I'm still dizzy." The doctor did another check, couldn't find anything. He sent him to an expert in the hospital. So this guy, his name was Shimon. Shimon went to hospital. The doctor checked him out, couldn't find anything, did a whole battery of tests, and he said, "When we have results, we'll call you." So Shimon and his wife left the hospital, and he gets a call a few days later, says, "Please come with your wife to the hospital, we have the results." So Shimon goes to the hospital. He is invited into the top doctor's room. The top doctor is very serious. He says to Shimon and his wife, "Listen, we found a very, very rare disease inside of you. It's going to paralyze you and eventually kill you." Shimon, when he hears this, gets extremely shocked. The doctor says, "And we don't have the medical facilities here in Israel to help you. But we are contacting the top hospital in America, and hopefully they will be able to treat you." And they did. But the hospital in America, when they saw the x-rays and the diagnosis, they said, "I'm sorry, we can't help him." So basically the doctors told Mr. and Mrs. Shimon that you're going to become paralyzed very soon, and soon you're just going to die. It was extremely painful to hear that, but what could he do? So as he went along, he started losing control of his limbs, his arms, his legs. Eventually he was hospitalized. And his wife and daughter would go to visit their father, their husband Shimon, every day. And they would give him chizuk. It's okay, what can we do? They give him chizuk, but they were not religious. And how much could they give chizuk to him? One day, the wife gets a phone call from the hospital, and they say to her, "Mrs. Shimon, come right away to the hospital with your 17-year-old daughter. Come right away to the hospital. Don't ask, just come." So she goes to the school, picks up her daughter, they run to the hospital, and the doctors tell the daughter and the mother, "Go into the ward, your father, your husband is in a coma, it's over. Today, Hayom Yom Acharon. Hayom Yom Acharon." So when the daughter and the wife hear this, they start crying, they're very upset. The doctor says, "I'm sorry, go in and say goodbye to your father, say goodbye to your husband, it's over. Hayom Yom Acharon." They walk inside, he's in a coma, they cry, they say goodbye to him, and they leave. The friend finds out about it and says to the wife, "Why don't you go to the Baba Sali?" So she says, "Baba Sali, ma ya'aseh?" He says, "Listen, you don't know, go to the Baba Sali." So they travel from Tel Aviv, the mother and the daughter, to Netivot to ask the Baba Sali for a beracha. They get to Netivot. The Baba Sali would not see women in his room, not even behind a mechitza. The only women he ever saw was his wife, his daughters, and his granddaughters. Nobody else. So they write a petek. "Rav, please bless our husband, please bless our father." They give it to the Gabbai. The Gabbai takes it to the Baba Sali. The Baba Sali reads the petek and says, "Tell them to come in." The Gabbai says, "But the women." He says, "Tell them to come in. They should stand behind the mechitza. But the women, amarti, amarti." The Baba Sali spoke in Arabic, in Moroccan. So the lady and her daughter walk into the room of the Baba Sali. They stand behind the mechitza, and the Baba Sali says, "What's the problem?" She said, "Our husband, our father is in a coma. Hayom Yom Acharon." "Mi amar Hayom Yom Acharon?" She said, "The doctors." Baba Sali says again, "Mi amar Yom Acharon?" They say, "The doctors." "Mi amar Yom Acharon," the last day, the doctors. The Baba Sali goes into a trance. He says, he puts his head like this, and he's silent for a few minutes. And then he says, "Okay, lady and daughter, are you sanua? Are you discreet?" So the woman from Tel Aviv and the daughter, 17 years old, were not discreet. But I didn't even know what the word discreet meant. So they asked the Gabbai, "Maze discreet, maze sanua?" So the Gabbai said, "Sanua means long sleeves, longer sleeves past the elbow, longer skirts, head covering if you're married, etc." So the Baba Sali tells him, if you want your father and your husband to have arichut yamim, so aroch, have your sleeves longer, your skirts longer, sanua, no pants, no uncovered hair. The wife is like, aval, zecham betel Aviv. And the daughter says, but how am I going to be dressed like a dosit? I can't do this. So the Baba Sali says, listen, you want a Yeshua, you take on tzniut. If not, I can't do anything about it. So the wife and daughter says, you know what? We commit. So they got a little petek from the Gabbai, what they have to do in order to be considered sanua. So they leave Netivot and they drive straight to Netivot. Where to? To Bnei Brak. Bnei Brak, they walk into the biggest clothing store in Bnei Brak. This lady and this girl, and the sales lady says, hey, you're in the wrong place. We don't sell clothes like that over here. She says, no, we need sanua clothing. So the sales lady figures she's probably going to a Haredi wedding and they want to have something decent. So she brings out a wedding outfit for the daughter and for the mother. She says, okay, we'll take this. We will need things for Shabbat too, and then we need things for the whole week. A lucky day. She sells them a whole wardrobe for 5 days a week, for Shabbat, for Chatuna, for everything. And they go into the changing room, they dump their old clothing into a tiny little bag, and they put on their new clothing. They walked in as if they came from the beach, and they walked out from Mea Shearim. They send all the clothing to a special mishloach to the house. In the meantime, they go straight to the ward in the hospital. They go from Bnei Brak to Tel Aviv, to the hospital, and they go into the elevator, they go to the floor, they're walking towards the ward, and then the head doctor says, hey, Atzar, who are you? I'm the wife. Ken, you're not the wife. He looks at her and says, you are the wife. What happened? And then he looks at the 17-year-old. Ma kara lachem? Like, you came here 5 minutes ago dressed as if you're going to the beach or back from the beach, and you dressed now you came out of Mea Shearim. Says, they walk into so the top doctor says, oh, by the way, your husband woke up. Oh, sure. That's the first thing that he should have told us, no? Okay, so your husband woke up, but he's still in a trance. So they walk in, and the husband is like half awake. Mi atem? So the wife says, Ani, ishtecha. What? Lama yesh lach chultza ad lepo? Lama yesh lach chatzait ad lemata? Ma yesh barash shelach? So she tells him that the Baba Sali told us to be sanua and you'll have arichut yamim. He looks at the daughter and she says, Ani lo ma'amin. He was about to faint. Anyway, the Baba Sali told the wife and daughter that if you take on tzniut, I guarantee you that your husband and father will wake up. By tomorrow, he's going to be standing and walking around. In a month's time, he's going to be out of hospital. And so it was. The next day, he was walking around. 4 weeks later, he left the hospital. He got into a car and drove with the wife and daughter straight to Netivot. Knock on the door, and they say, we want to see the Rav. And Gabbai doesn't recognize these two, right? Who are you? We are the lady and the daughter that came about our deathly sick husband. And the Gabbai is like, okay, tavo. Comes inside, write a petik. We want to thank the Baba Sali. The Baba Sali says, okay, fine, I don't need the girls in my room anymore. All I need is the husband. The husband walks in, he says, Toda Rabba Rav. The Baba Sali tells him, the Baba Sali tells the husband, Shimon, Tagid li, ma kara lemala. Shimon's like, he's quiet. Because he went into a coma, and in that coma he was summoned to Bedin Shel Mala, and they were going to decide if they were going to send him to Gehinam or not. And he was there in Bedin Shel Mala, but he didn't tell anybody, because he was like so afraid that people would think maybe he was crazy. Shimon makara Bedin Shel Mala. Shimon says, he's quiet. Shimon, ani metzaverecha, ma kara bedin shel mala. Shimon says, I was summoned to Bedin Shel Mala. I was taken to a very big room, and there was a Rav in the middle with a talet over his face, and there was a black angel on one side and a white angel on the other. Describe to me the black angel. He was big, he was wide like an American football player, and he has eyes all over his cloak. Describe to me the white one. He was thin. He was like, he hardly could move. He said, okay. What did the white one say? Well, first the Dayan said, we need to hear the Edim. One Ed is going to defend, one Ed is going to prosecute. You, the white one, defends. So he brought a little piece of paper with about 15 notes. He put on tefillin when he was 13, when he was 20, when he was 27, when he went to this bar mitzvah. He did this, he did that. About 15 to 20 good things. The guy was like, oh, cool. I'm okay, right? Then comes this American football player. And he says, well, I have a bigger list. He takes out a Megillah. And you did this and that, and you watched this, you touched this, and you thought this, blah blah blah, and you. The Dayan says, I think that you can be quiet now. I think we have a psak. He was about to be sent straight to. At that point in time, Shimon says, somebody bursts into the room and says, overrule. I'm overruling the psak. This man is going to live and go back to this world. He's going to live and go back to the world, and he's going to be fine. And since he came in, and they're all petrified of this man, they said, fine. The next thing he knows, Shimon is in his bed. He opens his eyes. The Baba Sali asks Shimon, Shimon, who was that man? The man says, I don't know, but he was dressed like a king, with a big crown, very tall and very powerful. He says, do you know who that was? He says, no, Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech came down from his Kisei HaKavod, down to the Beit Din Shel Mala, to say and save you. Do you know who told him to go? I did. Do you know what allowed me to get him to go? Your wife and daughter. And Ma Kesher? Why did I get Shlomo HaMelech to come down? When your wife came to me and she said to me the following words, Harofeh Amar Yom Acharon. And I said, Mi Amar Yom Acharon. And your wife said, the doctor. I wasn't asking her. I was asking myself, Mi Amar Yom Acharon, Mi Amar Yom Acharon. He reviewed the whole Torah, Navi and Ketuvim, to see where it's written, Yom Acharon. And he found it. It says in the words of Shlomo HaMelech, in Eshet Chayil, Vatischak liyom acharon. She's going to laugh on the last day. The Baba Sali said, Vatischak liyom acharon can also mean she's going to laugh when the doctor says it's your husband's last day. But what allowed me to be able to use Vatischak liyom acharon? The first half of the sentence. It says, Oz behadar levusha. If she dresses levusha, if she dresses sanua, if she dresses discreetly, if she dresses like a bat melech, like the wife of a melech, sanua and glorious, oz v'hadar levusha, Shlomo HaMelech says, vatischak, she will laugh, leyom acharon. When I heard that, I said, oz v'hadar levusha, if your daughter and wife commit to oz v'hadar levusha, vatischak, she'll be able to laugh, leyom acharon. To when the doctor says, it's your husband's yom acharon, you don't decide, Hashem decides. And you can change destiny if you're able to do Oz v'hadar levusha. And that's where the whole Baba Sali, Abu Chatzera, godless comes from. Where did it come from? The Baba Sali was able to trigger a Yeshua from the Shlomo HaMelech. But why? Because he was Shomer Enaim. The Baba Sali was Shomer Enaim. We all know that the whole lineage of the Baba Sali, we had one of the first ones was Rabbi Yaakov Abu Chatzera. Then his son, Rabbi Masud Abu Chatzera. Then Dikin Baba Sali, who learned the whole Zohar at age 7. Then his son, Baba Meir. And then his son, Rabbi David Abu Chatzera. All of them.
How many years ago?
Also? Okay.
How many years ago?
About 35 years ago he passed away. So the Baba Sali, his main midah was, he was Shomer Enaim to the highest level possible. And when we are Shomer Enaim to the highest level possible, we think that we can't see. But we can't see and we don't see evil. But we see something else. When we Shomer Enaim, we're able to see a whole different spectrum. And when the Baba Sali, somebody came to him, he was able to trigger with his eyes, by being Shomer Enaim, a complete Yeshua. The Baba Sali said to the man, you know why that Malach HaShachor has eyes? Because we create those eyes. Shminata, when the person not Shomer Enaim, you create your own Malach HaMavet. But when we are Shomer Enaim, the Malach HaMavet doesn't exist. We're not giving him power. When you're Shomer Enaim, you're creating the most amazing white angel. And when you're Shomer Enaim, we're able to trigger Yeshuot. Thank you.
enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org